Hey everybody, this is Donna Meals. This is who I am, that's what I do. Hey, it's Monday and wow, just been having a great week, this past week, making some money with some of my investments and sitting on my laurels and watching that and thinking, ha ha ha. I did my homework and it's paying off. What an amazing bit of relief that can give a person to see the fruits of their labor pay off. I guess that's why I'm using this as an example. So this is Empowered Meals, and that is my vision, is to send you on your journey so that you can empower your meals. And that's basically through the process of foodgamification, which is figuring out what it is that you're supposed to eat and loving that. Sometimes you have to learn to love that. Sometimes you have to, I don't want to say talk yourself into it, but you have to kind of rationalize some things. And when we do some substitutions and go through those processes of saying, well, oh, okay, so right now I can't have that. Maybe it's not forever, but for now I'm abstaining from that. I'm going to substitute it with that. So I've had this huge resounding theme with the last few times that I've spoken with you guys. And that's really everything in life, really. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. And eating is no different. And, the thought process of it is no different. If we're at a place where the doctor says, hey, you got to clean this up, or you got to do this, or whatever, all it means is we need to clear out the bad stuff and replace it with the good stuff. And equally, that's kind of how I've come to learn that we need to do that with our thought processes about our life, our emotions. Regulating our emotions basically is kind of just doing an accounting and clearing out some of those limiting beliefs, realize what it is that, has been holding you back, and clear that out and get a new set of beliefs. So I just can't stress enough how those concepts really intertwine. I mean, nothing exists in a vacuum. Very important lesson I learned in, I think it was 7th grade English enrichment. Anyway, with Gates and Willis. Those are some teachers from Lower Dauphin High School, if you guys happen to be buddies of mine hanging in there from my Facebook from a long time ago. So anyway, there are a few of you, and we've conversed, and I'm just really so happy to help anybody that I can just come into some good realizations. I'm all about the light bulb moments. And that's kind of what my process is going to be for the challenge that we're going to start next Monday. And I'm just going to do 2 weeks, and I may decide to just prolong it, and everybody can kind of stay in if they don't. It's hard to make a commitment to do something for 2 weeks, even if it is only just listen to something for 5 or 10 minutes and try and implement something. But we'll get into that a little bit more. But today I want to first just put out there my meme, okay? And this is from Cicero. He was one of the famous Greek philosophers, back in the day. And this goes, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. And by virtues, connotatively, they mean good. Virtue is something that's good. So they're saying granddaddy. He's saying granddaddy is the, I mean, gratitude is the granddaddy. Sorry, there goes my little neuro glitch goes off from time to time. I'm sure you guys, if you've hung in there, you've noticed that. But it's what makes me me. I have gratitude that I can speak, and I have gratitude that I can walk. For a while I was paralyzed on the left side, and there's a long time. There's a period of very crazy uncertainty there for me. So uncertainty for me has always been my my black hole, shall we say. So just as I'm reporting, I got a little financial certainty that occurred for me in the last week. So it's such a huge satisfaction, I guess, to realize that you have come to a place where you're doing a little better than you were. So wrapping that in with this, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. And I just can't speak enough to that. Gratitude, and I'll reiterate this till the cows come home, it is the single most effective emotion that we feel, and they've measured this when people have been hooked up to the EEG machines and the various machines that measure our electromagnetic current and our electricity and our magnetic concentration. Magnetics in your heart, electricity's in your brain. And so when they've done studies and tests to show when someone feels gratitude, their brain lights up more than anything, which indicates that the specific feel-good chemistry that we have in our brain, dopamine and even serotonin is part of that family too. That's what you release when you're working out. That's why working out makes you feel so much better. But your brain chemistry is altered more by that influx of gratitude over any of the other emotions. So emotions, they are actually chemical triggers in our mind, in our body, in our brain. I just think that, wow, here's this gentleman, Cicero, over 2,000 years ago, and we've just confirmed it with science. That is what has impressed me to get into this work more than anything, is being kind of an egghead science. I was a biology major, to start out with. I love genetics and biology and all of that. I was pre-med, and I have always just been fascinated how the mind and the chemistry and everything works together. And now we're in a moment in time, we're in a place in our planet, in our history, where everything seems to be falling together, where all of the stuff that we thought, oh, that's bunk, that's woo-woo, and all of the things with meditation and all of those lesser sciences that I guess people have categorized them in, are now finding avenues to be proven with the newest technology and studies and all of that we've come up with. So anyway, I don't want to belabor that. Today we're going to talk about going organic, and there's so much BS out there that we're fed by marketing, because all these companies, they're listening to what's out there in the news. They know what's going on. They know what people's feelings and their thoughts and trends are. And believe me, they're going to try and catch that wave. And that's what all of the companies are doing. They're packaging everything so that it's in looks like a brown paper wrapper, and, everything's green and brown and colors of the earth. And so, because they know that that's a psychological trigger, that you're automatically going to veer towards that. If you're looking for something that's more healthy and natural, they're gonna steer you to their product, and it can be very deceptive. It can be, it's insidious, shall we say. So how we combat that is knowledge, knowing what is going on. Knowledge is power, but you can't use that power until it's not worth anything unless you implement it. So Taking that knowledge and implementing it is what's going to give you the power to be as healthy as you can. Now, everybody says, go organic. I got to go organic. Everybody knows that. But I want you to take that for what it's worth. Yes, you should go organic. But what I want to try and do is create a couple platforms of why that's important, okay? So let's go back to the plant itself or the animal itself, etc. That you've always heard that adage that you can only be as strong as your link as your weakest link, okay? And this is true with our chemistry too, because whatever it is that we consume or ingest, it's basically a product of whatever that organism has consumed or ingested. It's the food chain thing, okay? We all know about the food chain thing. We all know that, for instance, a lot of people are saying, I love sushi. Love sushi. Love me some ahi and all that. But, the more we realize we want to stay away from the bigger organisms that are around longer in the sea, because they eat so many other of the organisms. And so, like, say, mercury tends to be a problem with fish, with eating seafood, unfortunately, because there's been so much destruction to our oceans. That higher concentrations of mercury will be found in animals that eat other animals, because they're just it's just, the power of multiplication and exponentialism, shall we say, plus the age of the animal. So if you've got 1,000-pound tuna that's eating all these, these other lesser fish all this time, and they've been around for 50 years or so, there's a good possibility that you're pulling in more poison than you need to. So along this line, I'm just using that as an example. But, when you consider, and I have gone into this before, if you don't okay, organic milk. Okay, I'm going to get some organic milk. Okay, well, these cows, the organic standard, it's supposed to, there are several different levels of the organic standard. I have talked about that before, but let's say for all intents and purposes, we have an animal that's governed by a really good organic standard. That agency is really strict. And it's the true policies that, organic farming is established by. And that basically is that an animal or a plant is raised in an environment where there is no outside pollution from genetically modified organisms or chemical fertilizers or pesticides, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you get the picture. And it has to be for a certain amount of time before, so you have some products that they've never really, some brands, they've never really been established as organic, but I know that they're good because I know their practices. The little organic symbol is, it's just a guideline, for us all to use. And, the power of that or agency is really going to establish what's the differences in the organic standard. Like there's one that's called Oregon Tilth. It was the first one. So anything that's organically sealed with that, so it'll say certified by Oregon Tilth. Now some will say Quality Assurance International. Huge conglomeration, a lot of stuff falls through the cracks. That's where you get your organics brand and your whatever it is in the grocery store when they have their own innate brand of organic. So it's going to be in the better category, not necessarily the best. What we want to do for ourselves, especially if we're in a period where we want to go from this point on the river, cross the river and get to this point on the shore, on the other side of the shore. Well, there's a bunch of little stepping stones in the process. I'm your guide. I'm the one that's supposed to take you across there. I'm supposed to help you discern where you're at and where you need to be. And the most basic of anyone's journey with that starts just with this theme I'm talking about, with getting rid of all the bad stuff and adding in and substituting it with as much good stuff as you can. And that involves detoxing. That's just the only way detoxing can occur, is if you slow everything down and you purposefully eliminate specific things that have not been working for you. Okay? I've been talking about all of this. You know if something's good for you or it's not. Innately, inherently, you know what scale it's on, 1 to 10 on the bad good scale. And so what I try and introduce people to is the idea of, hey, let's go slow and let's just start getting rid of the stuff that we know is not going to work for us, whatever your parameters are. Sometimes your high blood pressure, got to get rid of salt. Oh, that is such a bummer. Yes, it's very difficult. But your choice is, food isn't as enjoyable for a little while until I learn how it is. And that's what Donna will help you with. Or I'm just going to keep going down the road I'm at and just continue on, and I'm going to pretend that I'm eating better, but if my labs aren't giving me the indication that they are, then there's my scientific proof that it's not. And there's so many people get caught up in that realm where they set out and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this. A little bit of change, maybe not enough, but not in a gradual sense where you're stepping on another one of those stepping stones across the river. You need a guide for that a lot of times. And sometimes that's just you or your buddy or yourself or someone like myself, a professional, or just adhering to maybe some of the stuff that's in my, in my challenge that I'm going to put out there. The information's all out there. It's how you want to embrace it and utilize it. So. And I'll refer back to that, doing the same thing over and again and expecting different results is definition of insanity. I think I said that last time with Albert Einstein, but worthy a repeat because it's so true, and it does apply for so many people that, they've heard from this doctor or that doctor, and, you're tending to get a little too out of the, realm here. When you're going down, going to be in trouble, you got to start changing your eating habits. People don't do things until, typically human nature, until they're absolutely forced to. So, I got a little down the rabbit hole there, as I tend to do, because, like I said, nothing exists in a vacuum. It's all interrelated. So this organic thing. So we know that if the cows are grown in, if the cows are fed a bunch of antibiotics and different hormones, steroids sometimes, that make them, and they're fed corn, which you're not supposed to eat. So they're not eating what they're supposed to. So their muscle fibers aren't really, they don't have all the specific nutrition that they would had they not been an altered, product, shall we say. I hate to say that about living creatures, but natural farms have the cows eating just grass because that's what they were designed to do. They're healthy, they're happier, their vibration is higher, and they're sending more good vibes with their milk that they're producing. And they're not kept unsustainably pregnant, which destroys the animal. It's too hard on you. I don't know if you've had a baby, but man, those babies took a lot out of me. Each one, I have certain things that'll never be the same. That's just how it is. It's part of life. And so when you think about that, where is your food coming from? Okay. Do you want to go in the grocery store and just get this regular, this poor cow that's been tortured their whole life? I'm not trying to, it's not a guilt thing. It's what it is. Which that animal may not be as happy as the one that's producing. I love that little California cheese commercial where they talk about, oh, we have happy cows in California. And, they make a good point. Anything that you gain something or bring something into your fold that's coming from a place of positivity rather than negativity, or let's say the most positive influence you can bring towards yourself. That is the more energy you're bringing into yourself, and that's why we eat in the first place, to gain our own energy. Because we're going to take that animal's energy, we're going to combine it, convert it in our, in our system with our chemistry, and utilize everything, last thing that our body possibly can, if it's running efficiently. So if you've been abusing yourself for a little while, and hey, guilty, I've done it too, and you need a reset, that's the best thing to do, is just do a detox and just kind of be like, okay, we're gonna analyze and say, this isn't working, okay? Recognize it's not working. Take a step back, okay? And say, what will work? We're gonna pivot and then make, a positive action towards it, okay? I do this with my emotions. If somebody bothers me or says something that I recognize, makes me feel funny, and I go, well, I can either sit with that and keep going down the road, because my programming has been to like, oh, well, my feelings are hurt, or what I've learned is to say, okay, let's recognize that. Okay, my emotions are kind of stirred up, which means danger. Whatever that was that they said, it's not working for me. So I don't have to buy into it and believe it. I don't have to feel bad because they couldn't say something that was appropriate or whatever. I'm gonna recognize, take my step back, say, whoa, I'm in control. I'm in the driver's seat. Okay. Whatever it is, I don't need to give that credit. I can discount that and say, well, they're probably having a bad day, or maybe they're not on top of it, or they're just not as cool as I wish they were. That's okay. They're just in their own speed. And I don't have to feel something according to what they projected upon me. Their energy, which is usually negative if you have that funny emotion, you just say, hey, I'm not going to deal with that. And so I'm going to switch courses and say, well, that's their thing. And, maybe they're not having a great day or whatever. And then I'm just going to move on, and I'm going to take an action to dismiss that and not let that give me anxiety or troubled or whatever, troublement. So even though I'm going on the organic thing today, I am trying to relate, I'm trying to relate things as energy, okay? Because organic food, okay, we talked about the animals, let's go to the plants, okay? Now, on an organic farm, you have crop rotation, different crops. Sometimes they have crops and animals, and then the animals come and they fertilize, and then they grow different crops on that the next time. And it's just like a cycle, and they keep spinning around. It's really interesting. And this is the way they did it back, before they had Pfizer Genetics and Monsanto and, these huge conglomerations. And I mean, I don't know, how many times did they send you a letter and said a Christmas card, how you doing? They don't care about you, okay? They care about money, all right? So in the old days, the farmers, and they're all still out there too. There are some, but those farmers, all those farms are being snatched up by the big corporations. But in the old days, the regular farmer in the dell that got up at, whatever time, they had animals and livestock and these crops, and they would circulate the crops, because the fertilization and growth circle and the, cycling them out made sure that different, a plant will take certain nutrients out of the soil. Okay, so that's why you want to swoop it to something next and then bring a different kind of plant in here. And you bring an animal in here that's going to replenish with the manure. So it's a really good ecosystem. That's the way our whole world was planned and designed to work. Only men and greed kind of got in the way, in my opinion. But if your plant is not genetically modified to be tweaked to ignore part of whatever and work on nitrogen-based fake fertilizer, if your plant is is in that factory farm system, it's not getting all the inherent good nutrients that the plant itself needs, just like the cow itself isn't getting what it needs by eating corn, only by eating grass. Okay, so you've got, what you have is, it's a slighted or an inferior product, be it animal or vegetable, okay? And all of the nutrients that it needed to work and be proper are not really inherent for them, so they're not going to be there for you when you consume it. So you're being ripped off, basically, of nutrition. And a lot of times, you know, you're not getting your money's worth, shall we say, because you're still paying for that same product. But over the years, it has just been morphed. And a lot of it's been denigrated, shall we say, nutritionally denigrated. I think it's like a 40% is a study that I saw not too long ago. And this is why a lot of European standards so much more strict than ours. Man, our government, they've gotten away with so much in the way of appeasing big business and not really taking care of the people. So, same thing with the healthcare system. Okay, this is a theme here that I keep purporting. You have to be your own best advocate. So going organic is absolutely huge. And I'm sorry, but you're not getting your money's worth out of those cheesy vegetables they're baked off in with insuperior genetic composition, and they're not really given everything that they need because it's just factory fertilizer. It's not real manure. A real good, rich soil, fertilized properly, there's no contest between that and all of this nitrogen-based fertilizer. It's fake. The veggies come out and they look okay, but I'm sorry, and there are a certain number of vegetables that it's no contest between organic and not. And one would be tomatoes, potatoes, amazing. Tomatoes, potatoes, corn, definitely apples for sure, and I will say milk. There's no comparison. Real organic milk and this chalk that they that they put out there and say is milk. It's because the poor cows, they're not optimal. Okay, organic is optimal. So one thing that came across my radar that I thought was really super interesting too is the ugliest vegetables are the best ones for you. And this really makes a lot of sense. And it goes back to that, what you're consuming is you're going to be the best you can be according to what you're consuming on the lower level before you. And so if you eat vegetables that are deemed ugly because they're not as attractive, it means that the plant has been under a certain amount of stress, whether it's bugs were attacking it or just whatever it is. But the more stress that is incurred in that plant, the stronger the response is for that plant to survive, and the more nutrients that it's going to have within itself. So that, like I said, I like to tie things together. I mean, do I want the movie star husband that everybody's fawning all over and da-da-da-da-da-da? Or do I want the regular guy that's just really down to earth and isn't living in this crazy stratosphere world, but in the real one? Well, I think we all know the answer to that question. We don't need all these spoiled little vegetables that have just been brought up just in a fake manner. We want the real deal, and it's worth paying more for it. Here's another thing that I want to kind of stress too. Okay, organic food, everybody has been conditioned, oh, so expensive. And it used to be that way. It's more like this. Every once in a while, you'll find a product that's like this. It's actually cheaper than the regular ones. So always look. I didn't even get into the toxicity that is enveloped in non-organic fruits and vegetables. Not only are they, okay, they're mass produced. They're mass produced. And so they're using water that's from public whatever, okay? Public water has aluminum, fluoride. By the way, when those two get together, that's why you don't want to drink tap water. It fries your brain. Huge. When aluminum and fluoride get together, it's a huge proponent of cognitive issues and Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, a lot of the diseases of the brain, because it promotes some of the amyloid issues that are in the cells in the brain. So that's a whole different topic. But anyway, in the water that we drink, in our tap water, there's going to be chlorine, not good, too much of it, and a myriad of different toxins that have not been able to be filtered out. They're, prescription drugs and just anything you can imagine. Okay. Especially with food for crops, it's a different, it doesn't go through the final process. And some of our food's been watered with crops that is not at the same level as what they throw in the tap water. So, because it's cheaper. And they think, oh, well, who cares if, X, Y, Z's in there? It's not going to make it into the plant. And that has been found to be untrue. But the regulations haven't been changed on that. So there was a visual I had one time. I don't even want to state it, but there's some of the things that get through in the regular water that they feed the crops. If you knew it, you wouldn't eat anything that's not organic again. But that was a book I read, and I thought, well, I hope that's not true. But anyway, so when you see the instances where, there's salmonella on this, and this was linked to this field or whatever, who knows? It may be because there isn't proper sanitation for the workers, or, that's why it's always super, super important, no matter what type, whether it's organic or inorganic, that you always want to wash your produce, before you get it. And there's a couple really good products out there that are organic oriented. So those are just some precursors, because I think every once in a while, everybody needs to be reminded why you want to go organic. Because it's like, do I want to go buy food A, B, or C level? And that's what you got to ask yourself. The next time you're in the store and you're like, oh, well, this cabbage is $2 and this one is, $2.50 or $3, why am I buying the cabbage? It's because I need nutrients. Well, is it just because I want to throw it in a recipe? Sometimes that may be your answer, Sometimes it is for me. Oh, I don't care. I just need a sprig of cilantro. I don't need to spend $3 on this much when I can buy this for $1. And I mean, there's always the trade-off, okay? What I'm trying to give you is how the balance and the scales work. That's the information that I'm trying to provide here today. I just can't stress enough that there are so many pesticides, and there's a list. There's specific vegetables, the softer veggies and fruits, they have the more pesticides sprayed on them because the bugs like them. The sweeter, and the better. Tomatoes and fruits and things like that. Now, if you have hard rinds, melons, asparagus, broccoli, cruciferous, bugs don't like them as much, so they don't have as many pesticides on it. So you got to consider it's not only the pesticides, but the quality of the soil that it's grown into. It's not always about the poisons. But, you know, that's what I'm saying. Out with the bad. So get the organic because they don't have all the pesticides and stuff on them. And then in with the good, you know, which is the organic choice because it has more nutrients in there. So you're already hitting both of those wickets just by swooping over to organic. I mean, I don't know of a better argument that I can give you for that. It's worth the money in the end, and it may not seem that as first. You gotta just suck it up, bite the bullet, and say, this is what my commitment is here. I'm gonna spend a little more than I'm used to get to a common place, because it takes time, you know. I tell everybody if they want to try and change their habit change, they've got to devote 3 months to it, you know. And the first month should really be about detoxing and really eliminating. And I've mentioned this a bunch of times too, but this is a really good place to put this. There is no diet, fix, hack, whatever. And there are things that people are out there and they found and they're working for them. And and that's awesome because any progress is good. But your most optimal place that you can be is to just establish what works in your realm, and you're not relying on anyone else preparing any of your food, you know. That's why I don't really go to restaurants anymore. Not why, I mean, I like to cook, and of course I like to do that for myself, but I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know. Unless I go back there and hang out with their chef in the kitchen and watch them bring in, you know, or say, hey, which purveyor do you use? Because having been in that industry, I know which ones have, you know, better products. But yeah, you know, it's just really hard because I'm sorry, but especially now, these poor restaurants, they have to make a profit one way or another. It's really hard to, you know, they're gonna have to cut corners, you know, a lot of them. So I guess that's what I'm saying. That's why fast food is terrible, because it's been processed, rebranded, packaged, frozen, you know, thrown in here, ziplocked here, whatever, so many times, and then microwave again before they give it to you. Don't even get me started on microwaves. But anyway, I think that I've gone on long enough to give you all just kind of a very rational bunch of reasonings why it's just really a good thing and very smart. It's wisdom to choose the vegetables that are organic, and the meat and the animals. At least with the animals, maybe they don't necessarily have to be organic, but you just check out the company that raised them. Look on their website. Look and see what their philosophy is, you know. You can tell. It's just like reading people. You can tell what a company's about, you know, or whether they're just trying to throw you some BS and some marketing. So, I will leave it at that. We're just going heavy on some of the cerebral stuff this week. I am probably going to cook something on Friday. And, you know, we did a lot of cooking when I was a few weeks back. So I feel like I got everybody a good start. And, you know, using those simple recipe blueprints and the flavor categories. And I'm coming up with some more too. It's so easy to just, you know, say, oh, we got to make something. This is what I got. So see what you got that fits on one of those flavor profiles. See if you got something that's in a similar category, and then go for it. Fit it into a blueprint recipe, and you know, try it out. I would love if somebody would try out any of those and just get back to me and let me know how it worked out for you. You know, the key is don't get carried away and put too much in. More is less. especially when you're beginning out, you know. And then the more you try a specific profile, you'll know how flavors blend even better in that specific category. I had to learn that the hard way when I had mint and cinnamon and lemon, and you know, with the Greek flavors, I had a little too much of everything, and then it kind of ruined it. So that's why I always say pick a, you know, pick a primary and a secondary. So anyway, I hope that some of you have gleaned some good out of this, and I don't have any hacks today. The hack is go organic. That's your food hack, and that's your mental hack. No, I kind of already exhausted that today. So hope you're all doing well. Peace out, and have a great night.